What's up, guys? James Casino, Chocolate Man in Thailand. And what if I had legal problems in Thailand? What would I do? Well, just so happens I have a guy here today that can help you out. Pete, you want to introduce yourself, man?
Okay, hey guys. So I'm Peter from Thai Legal Protection. James and I decided to make a video together. Actually, we've been planning this
Long time.
maybe
Long time.
at least a year.
At least.
At least a year.
I'm sorry, my friend. Yeah, we were supposed to get up a long time ago and give you this stuff, but this is going to be great information, guys. This is one of those videos you're going to want to save to your playlist, save to your watch laters or whatever, because this is going to be important maybe a year or two down the road. I mean, you're not going to come to Thailand and immediately have an illegal problem, but somewhere down the road, you're going to need a guy like Pete. Pete, what do you do?
Okay, well, basically we offer a really affordable legal service. Guys can sign up for a membership and they have access to as many consultations as they want, as long as they stay a member. The topics are mainly about visas. That's a hot topic. Buying or renting condos, property, getting married, unfortunately getting divorced.
That happens.
And opening up a business. Those are the main, the main topics. But we also offer assistance for tourists, such as the 24/7 emergency line. If you get in trouble with the police or in an accident.
Okay. Now, I'm a little concerned here. What are your qualifications, Pete? Are you a shade tree mechanic type lawyer? Are you a real lawyer? Are you certified? How does it work here for the qualifications?
Okay. So actually, our company employs many Thai lawyers who are actually the only ones that are actually legally allowed to provide the actual service. I do a little bit of consulting. My partner, David, does a little bit of consulting, but we have a legal team that takes care of all of the cases.
Awesome. I was always curious about that. I was like, are you coming to court with me or who's going? No, you will actually. You actually have a Thai staff that will handle that part.
Well, we actually have a legal team.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're Thai.
Yes.
Most of them speak English as well too. Yeah. So it's good.
Certified legal attorneys in Thailand. Yeah. You operate more of a consultant type basis.
Yeah, more of a consultant and management. That's basically how it works.
Yep. There you go. In case you guys were curious. I know I was curious.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, I got a whole list of topics we should get into today. So what do you prefer? Like, what is the most common thing that people are going to walk through your door? And trust me, guys, we're going to hit a bunch of topics. So I'm going to have chapters all throughout this video. So if you want to go to a specific area, housing or, buying a property or child custody, divorce, marriage, whatever, there's going to be a chapter for everything we talk about.
One of the big things people will have to deal with when they move out here is finding a place to live. So most of the guys are going to rent a place. Some are going to buy, but most of us are going to rent first, maybe buy later. Obviously, when you rent a place, we hear horror stories like about that big condo scamming incident, a few months ago where the agent actually rented out a lot of properties, but actually didn't have permission from the owners.
So how do you assist exactly in that situation?
It's pretty simple. The first thing that we'll do for our members is we'll give them a crash course on the condo renting laws. And then before they actually pull the trigger and actually give a deposit or a booking fee to rent the place, we get them to ask for the contract. And what we do is we'll look at that contract clause by clause and make sure it's fair for both parties, but also that it complies with the law. So many things you have to think about when it comes to the condo renting laws, whether you need to pay 2 months deposit or not, whether they can upcharge on the government rate for electricity and water. Many people forget about the basics. And the basics is like, does this agent actually have authority to rent this condo out? Who's signing the contract? Do we check the Chinote to make sure that the owner is the same as the person?
What's a Chinote?
It's like the ownership of the condo, right? Yeah, and so basically we want to make sure that the owner on that matches the landlord on the lease contract. If it doesn't, why is that? Okay, so maybe they're given, authority to the agent to rent that place and manage the property, even so much as collect the rent, okay? So they should have a document, which is called the power of attorney, that will give them that authority by the owner. If they don't, that's a red flag, okay? Even something simple is like that name on the bank account that you transfer the rent to, okay? So when you go into your banking app, James, you want to transfer money to somebody, it'll show you before you finish that transaction, the name of the account holder. So even they tell you on the contract that, okay, this is the name of the account holder, and that matches the landlord on the contract. But if you go in and you try to make that transfer and you notice that name is different, red flag. So, things like that, we need to make sure that we know first. If we don't know those basic things, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Then the other things that are important are, how long do I have to wait to get my deposit back after the contract is finished and I've moved out? Okay, so we recommend 7 days, which matches the law. If you rent out 5 or more condos, you have to follow a specific set of rules. We just suggest to all of our members that those rules, we should just always try to get the landlord to agree to all of those rules anyways. The second rule that law covers is that you're not supposed to charge the tenant for wear and tear at the end of the lease. Another one is upselling the electricity and the water.
Standard. And it's honestly, guys, I never really thought about getting legal assistance with just renting. I've rented many condos before, but yeah, there is definitely some pitfalls. There's some traps there you could fall into if you didn't really think about it, or even that information Pete just gave us. First time I'm hearing that, I was like, oh man, I've been lucky so far. I really have. So let's not play the luck game anymore. It's probably smarter just to get a legal team, get a legal assistance. We'll talk about his memberships here in a second. Buying a house, buying a condo, some things I should really be concerned about. Why do I need a legal assistance with doing that?
Well, so let's say the owner of the condo or the house, for example, is a foreigner. Well, let's say it's a house that you want to buy. As we all know, it's difficult for us to own property here as foreigners, right? A lot of times you're actually not buying the property, but you're buying a company. So that can be tricky. Has the company been maintained? Are the particulars of the way that the company is being sold to you, are they in the contract? I was just talking with a company. There's a good buddy of mine, Martin, at Cornerstone Real Estate. He was just telling me that he looks at these, he's got buddies that ask him for advice, and he's seen these condo purchase agreements or house purchase agreements. His buddies are asking him to take a look at, and they're just horrid because the biggest thing is that they don't mention all of the details. So if we look at those contracts before you sign, before you pay the booking fee, we'll be able to dissect them and say, listen, it doesn't mention this. These are the certain clauses that you want to ask them to add. This is not clear. Who's responsible to pay the transfer fees in the land office? It's generally the seller, but sometimes it's agreed that they'll be shared. But if it's a company that's involved, there's so many things that you have to be concerned about. Who's the Thai shareholder? Probably it's a nominee, so that could be tricky. So, just before any of the guys want to go out and buy something, we got to take a look at the agreement to see the actual, the status of the property first. If it's a condo, obviously we want to make sure that it's under foreign quota. If it's a foreigner, if it's not, then you're in that same situation again where you might need a company. We can do all that due diligence for the guys to make sure that everything is good before they decide they want to rent or buy something.
And again, first stop, first call is over here before you get into that. If you're even thinking about buying, I would go ahead and get a consultation before you even start looking at properties. Probably a good idea. Marriage and divorce?
I would say marriages kind of goes together with getting, like a lot of the guys want to take their girlfriend back to their home country, or they want to get married and they don't know, okay, well, like say I want to bring my girlfriend back to the US, decide, okay, am I going to get married here or am I going to get married in the US? Which one is easier? Which one is going to be easier for my wife to get her permanent status in the US, right? So this is obviously not my area of expertise, but I got a legal team, and David, my partner, actually does a lot of that work with guys that want to take their wives back to the US, where they should get married. In certain circumstances, it's better if they get married in Thailand. In certain circumstances, it's better if they get married in the US. So basically what the guys can do is that once they sign up for the membership, they can call in, and each individual situation is different. So the team will review their situation, give them the best recommendation on how they can get their wife or girlfriend back to their home country. And then depending on how good they might be able, how confident they are at doing it by themselves, we can teach them how to do it by themselves. We can look at their paperwork. We can advise them on what to do. Obviously, there's an interview. We'll prepare the Thai girl for the interview if it's a US visa. and then they can just go through everything by themselves without paying anything extra. Then there's a second step and a third step. The second step is maybe there's 10 steps to the process and they only want to do 4 of them and they want us to do the other 6, for example. So then we'll say, okay, no problem. Here's what it's going to cost, but you get a discount for being a member of TLP, and we'll take care of these remaining steps. Same exact thing, if they want us to do all of it, we'll just give them a discount and we'll take care of everything. Each member's situation is a little bit different. So, when we talk about marriage, a lot of guys do it and they want to bring their wife back to their home country. Some want to stay here, but the majority actually want to take their wives back to their home country. So that's why it's important to understand the best strategy and the easiest way for each couple.
Yeah, good luck to you if you try to do it on your own. I've seen the horror stories, guys. You don't want to do that. Get a lawyer. Absolutely, if you want to do that. All right, well, some marriages unfortunately ended in divorce.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about divorce and child custody if that's an issue as well?
That's not really my area of expertise, but we do have a lot of domestic disputes. Guys will call in, sometimes even in the middle of the night, to our emergency line because of a domestic dispute. How we can assist somebody in that situation is we can make sure that if they are going through a divorce, that they're not signing over assets and things that they don't have to sign over. So there's been horror stories where guys will show up at the office, the government office, and they'll be there with their wife and they just want to get a divorce. And one of the stories that we always hear about is that the officer looks over at the girl and says, well, what do you want? And so the guy's just sitting there and he's like, well, what do you mean, what does she want? Before we came here, she agreed just that she was just going to sign off, right? So we'll just basically prepare our member what to expect in those situations. And if he doesn't want to deal with it by himself, then we can actually represent him. We can actually, for a reasonable fee, we can actually go to that office with him and represent him. But sometimes these things can be dealt with amicably, and basically that means that with a little bit of advice from us, they go in there and they know what to say and what not to say. Because those officers sometimes are a little bit tricky.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
So we can basically assist the guys with dealing with these situations so they know what their rights are and what they don't have to do. And obviously, when both parties agree to something, we want it to be really both parties agreeing, not the guy being told he has to do it when actually he doesn't have to do it.
There you go. There you go. I was going to ask Pete about that too, to dispel maybe a little bit of the misconception that you have absolutely no rights. What the problem is, you may be ignorant of what your rights are in Thailand. Again, why you need a legal representative for these tricky situations. So you should definitely get somebody.
And for somebody that's going to get married, obviously a prenuptial agreement is important. So if somebody wants to get married, we'll talk to them about the process. This is, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, certifying documents, and obviously saying, listen, it might be in your best interest to get us to draft a prenup. So we have a list of templates that our members have access to, and we'll give them a template. They can look at it, they can fill it out, we can comment on it. That's not going to cost them anything extra. But if they need us to draft a full prenuptial agreement and legalize it, there's going to be a reasonable fee that they'll get a discount on if they're a member. So these are all these things that you have to worry about when you're here. And
what is the weight of a prenuptial? I mean, is it ironclad if they do it through your legal team?
Yeah, because it's legalized. But I think that one of the things that we have to understand is that when you have somebody that's getting married, here in Thailand or in their home country, they've got assets here, assets in their home country. So they just want to make sure that not only they're protected in Thailand, but also they're protected in their home country. Absolutely. So the family lawyer may or may not recommend that they contact a lawyer in their home country to protect those assets as well, right? So that's basically, both parties can agree on these things. That's also important for the guys.
Yep, good to touch on it though. Child custody, is that ever something that can be contested? Have you seen that or know anything about that?
I have, and yes, if you go into the court, and like adoption stuff, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you have a foreigner and they want to adopt, a Thai child. Maybe let's say they have a girlfriend. The girlfriend passes away or is really sick. They do, we've had situations where the foreigner wants to adopt a Thai child. So that's one area that we can deal with. Child custody. Yeah, sometimes a Thai girl that has a child with their boyfriend wants to cut that man out of their life. And so yes, we do deal with those cases. Sometimes they they don't want the father to have access. So yeah, we have dealt with cases like that before, but it's basically done by our legal team.
Gotcha.
So it's not really, I don't really have a lot of details about that. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. We're just touching on it to give you guys an idea of what they can represent you for. Pete may not be the expert on everything, but he does have a legal team that can advise you. So that's the whole point, is to know when you're going to need that in Thailand. I think a lot of people get in situations here and they feel like, oh, I'm a foreigner and I have no rights and there's nothing I can do and I'll just give up and I'm just going to leave the country or whatever. But that's not the case at all. This is where a legal representative can definitely help you out and navigate those murky waters that they can be. Opening a business, man, that's going to be a hot topic for a lot of people, because a lot of guys, they get here, they want to open their very first business. They want to open a business with their wife or girlfriend, or they just want to go it alone, or hey, they want to get Thai partners or other partners and open up a super club downtown or something. So what can you do for them?
Okay, so we have two plans. One is a personal plan at $7.95 Thai baht per month, and one is a business plan at $49.95 Thai baht per month. Before you open up a company, what we will do is we will allow you to use our personal plan for that, which means that we'll take you through as many consultations as you want on opening up a business here, going through things like, okay, I opened up a company, how do I do it? How do I navigate around that Thai shareholder needing to have 51%? How do I maintain a company after it's open when it comes to the financials and taxes? If I need a work permit, how to do that? What do I have to have in the company to qualify for the work permit? Do I want to actually open up a company? Do I want to have the business run as a sole proprietorship under my girlfriend's name or my wife's name? So we'll take the members through all of these options, and at the end of however many consultations that they decide to have on this topic, they may decide, hey, it's not for me. That's actually a good thing.
Yes.
Why? Because they didn't go in and they just didn't jump in and invest a whole ton of money.
Lost.
I was talking to another YouTuber today, and he knows guys, and I know people that have opened up businesses and 2 weeks later it's shut. And it happens more often than not.
Oh, yes.
You can actually check all these things out for a real affordable price. I get this question all the time. Well, I can go and get a free consultation. Why do I, if I'm a lawyer, why do I want to join up for TLP, right? Well, we don't just give you one consultation. We give you as many as you want. So you can call in 15, 20 times if you want and talk about opening up a business. We'll then, a lot of the guys, because now is low season, a lot of businesses are going to be for sale now. So guys are being offered these businesses every day. So before you buy that business, you got to do your due diligence, right? You got to take a look at the sales agreement to make sure that it's fair and follows the law. All of these bar or business sales, they come with a lease contract already between the previous owner of that business, and the landlord. They got to take a look at that agreement too to make sure that it's fair and legal. So these are just some of the things that we can do under the personal plan before that guy decides to buy the business. Once he decides to buy it, if he's happy with the service, we register his company for him for a fee. He'll get a discount because he's a member. Then after that, if he wants to sign up for the business plan, basically what we can do under the business plan is review all contracts before the business signs them. We can deal with any labor disputes that they might have, which is a big thing with companies, disputes with service providers, even customers. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is basically what we do when it comes to businesses.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Pete's hit on a bunch of stuff that I didn't even think about when it comes to business, like dealing with the people that you might get supplied by or dealing with customers or things like that. These aren't really legal things that you're like, oh yeah, this might be a problem at some point. I'm running a business. Briefly, I'm a U.S. citizen, so we have something called the Thai Amity Treaty. What is that?
So what that is, it's a treaty between the U.S. and Thailand where Americans they have a number of benefits, okay? The first benefit is they can be the majority shareholder in their Thai company. So they would then become a foreign company. They basically have to obtain a foreign business license. They can now engage in some business objectives that were generally only for Thai people. So that's the second benefit. The next benefit, Americans can open up a sole proprietorship, actually. And in that sole proprietorship, they can get 1 year multiple entry business visa. So a lot of the guys will get that when they have a Thai wife. The Thai wife actually runs the business, but him being on the paperwork for the sole proprietorship gives him some legal rights over that business. So that's another thing that you can do under the Amity Treaty. Obviously, that Amity Treaty also has about taxes. So along with most other countries, there's what's called the DTA between Thailand and the US, right? So let's say you bring, and this is another hot topic, obviously.
Yes.
It's taxes, right? So let's say that you qualify to be a tax resident in Thailand, and you're a good boy and you want to file your income tax return in the US and in Thailand. Well, just know that because of that DTA, you're not going to be dinged twice. You're not going to be double taxed.
DTA being the dual tax agreement,
yeah,
right?
Correct. Yeah. So that's, and that's also part of the Amity Treaty, but it goes along with something that almost every other country has with Thailand, anyways. And they're generally the same. They're generally the same type of an agreement where taxes, you pay tax at the source, and then when in the other jurisdiction, you don't have to pay double, right? But you should still file. That's a whole different topic about taxes and that new law that came out at the beginning of the year, right? So
we'll be talking to some other experts in the future about that as well. Okay, well, now we're going to get to kind of the ugly part of when you might have to make that call at 2 o'clock in the morning because you got busted for being drunk in the streets or getting into a fight, or you get into a motor vehicle accident, or you're involved in some kind of violence or whatever. Criminal activity, basically. Criminal activity and say accidents.
Sure.
Do I need a legal team for that?
Well, I think that one of the things that we provide is a 24/7 emergency line. So let's say that you're in the middle of the night. Didn't really want to use this as an example, but because it's a hot topic these days, right? Go to the bar, get a little bit drunk, you get in a dispute over the bill. Sometimes things get heated. We know what happens when that happens, right?
Yep.
What about taking a step back and giving the line a call? I'm in a bar, things got out of hand. I think they padded the bill on me. Call the emergency line. That they'll actually get a call back, and the lawyer will actually speak to the other party. Might be a short call, but he'll speak to the other party, try his best to resolve it for you, because you don't want to end up in the police station. You don't want to end up in a big fight like the one we just heard about. And I know it's difficult sometimes when you've had too much to drink and you don't remember to take a step back, but you got to try to remember, take a step back, try to play it cool. That's not a lot of money sometimes, and some of the guys are going to hate me for saying it, but if it's not a lot of money and you've got it, sometimes it's better just to bite the bullet and pay it. And maybe if you want to try to do something later, you might have a better chance, because you can basically contact them later. Either we can call on your behalf to resolve the dispute. That's one of the things that our membership covers. But you can even just go back to the bar the next day, have a chat with the manager. I'll bet you the day after, everything's calmed down. He'll buy you a couple of drinks. You'll end up shaking hands and being good friends. So that's the way it could happen.
Yes, totally agree.
That's the way.
Totally agree. It's really the way to do it. Yeah. Mitigation, amicable resolution. Those are the things you really want to achieve here. Anytime you have an argument in Thailand, that will save you from having to make that phone call. But if you do have to make that, so I end up in Soi 9 down here at the police station. Now what do? I got in a fight or whatever.
Call us up, no matter what time of day it is. Call the emergency line. We'll speak to the police. We'll make sure that we understand what's going on. A lot of guys sometimes don't understand what's going on when they get arrested. They're just scared. Sometimes they get angry, they start yelling, they cause a scene, and the police actually are not going to deal with you that way. They're going to just stick you in a holding cell, lock you in a room, and wait till you calm down, and then they're going to talk to you. So what we can do is kind of talk to them for you, find out what's really going on, and then kind of from there, we'll have a way to resolve the dispute. If necessary, we'll send somebody down. Now, that's not going to be under the membership. You'll have to pay extra for that. But we can send somebody down to the police station to represent you if needed. But I think the main point is that they can call us up 24/7 if they have an issue like this, and we can talk to the other party. And this goes for accidents too. This is a big thing that we deal with, accidents, right? So you have an accident and you got the other party freaking out. You got the police there. You don't know what's going on. If it's a Thai person, maybe you don't even understand what they're saying. So you're going to need us to kind of inform you of all the details of what's going on, what your rights are, what to say, what not to say. And then, the next day we'll come down and help you out if it's needed.
Something I just want to kind of go off on a bit of a tangent here. If there is an accident and there's a serious injury, and say you have first responder skills or first aid skills or anything like that, should I render aid in an accident? Am I stepping on a legal landmine if I render aid or assistance?
That's a very difficult question.
It is, and it's a very
question.
hot topic in the Philippines as well. So
Yeah, it's a very hot topic. Well, in China, often these things happen, and people are afraid to be involved.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it really depends on the situation.
Yep.
If the person's, life is in danger, and I think should try.
I think if you can save somebody's life, I wouldn't worry about the legalities of it. But if somebody has a little boo-boo or a cut on their face or something like that, I would probably stay hands off, maybe.
Yeah. Here, when it comes to civil law, the other party has to be able to prove damage.
Yeah.
So if what you want to be, obviously, if you're not qualified, you don't want to get involved in somebody's situation when you might end up causing more damage to them than what they have actually had. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what that could be, but I'm just telling you, you have to be careful. But if you know CPR and the person's dying, why wouldn't you help them?
Try to do something.
But often we've had clients that have been in a motorcycle accident and the other party was seriously injured. So again, just talking to the other party, talking to the police on your behalf is something that we can do, helping you understand what the legalities are of the situation, and then preparing you for what's going to happen next and recommending you what the next steps you should take are, which is probably going to be hiring a lawyer if you actually were in an accident and you were the one at fault and you caused somebody damage, either to their physical being or monetary, money damage, right? So yeah.
Yep. Let's say, you take it to the next level. I mean, you're just a bad guy. You end up in a felonious type situation where you've, committed a major crime in Thailand. You're going to prison. You're pretty much going to prison. Are you guys going to be able to assist in a situation like that, or do you kind of step away from cases that might be at that degree?
We do have, a few serious criminal cases that we're handling, and we have a legal team that's perfectly capable to handle those cases. And we've been successful at some of those cases, right? I can give you an example. Back in COVID, there was some cases about people selling fake gloves. Yeah, so we're handling a couple of cases that involve that and trying to resolve disputes around that. I can't get into any details, but we do take criminal cases all the time. Yeah.
Okay, understood. I think that will close it out with a good visa discussion. There's been some changes. Mm-hmm. So Pete, if you could delve into what is going on with Thai visas.
All right. So there was a big announcement last week, as everybody knows. June 1st, they were supposed to introduce a 60-day visa exemption, and they were supposed to open up that visa exemption to more countries. Then there was a new DTA visa, which is supposed to be the true digital nomad visa.
Yeah, the destination Thailand.
Yeah. So we knew that wouldn't be implemented immediately, but we were told that everything was supposed to be implemented on June 1st. June 1st rolled around, people showed up at the airport, 30 days exemption. What's going on? Nobody knew what was going on. Our office did a little bit of homework on that Saturday, called MOFA, called immigration.
Who's MOFA?
Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
Because they regulate a lot of the rules, right? And so actually on May 29th, they issued an infographic directly from the Thai government, stated very clearly that these are the two changes that are going to happen. We got this destination travel visa. We got the 60-day visa exempt entry, opening up that to more countries, opening up more countries to the visa on arrival. And it says very clearly in that infographic that they will be implemented when the legal procedures are finished. That meaning when they're published in the government gazette, when immigration prepares arrival procedures at the airport. It's not so simple just to start granting that. It has to be programmed in the computers too. We have a partner in Pattaya that we deal with all of the time. He spoke to immigration Pattaya yesterday, and basically they're like probably going to be a month, 3 weeks to a month before everything is ready. But that's just speculation. We can't say for sure. But at the end of the day, that 60 days is not available now. It's going to be 3 weeks to a month is what we're hearing. Could be long, could be shorter, and we all hope it's going to be implemented sooner, but that's basically the status. The second thing is about that new digital nomad visa. So there's two kind of scenarios how that could play out. First one is it's a 5-year visa, but kind of it looks like you're only going to be eligible for 280-day stays during that 5 years. One being the initial stay and one being maybe an extension. Then there's another scenario, which I hope is the one that plays out, where it's a 5-year multiple entry visa. You can come every year for 180 days, and then it looks like that maybe you're allowed only one extension during that 5-year period of time. Other than that, you're going to be only getting 180 days each year. That is also kind of unclear on how that's going to play out. Another thing that's unclear is whether, if you do come on that 60-day visa exemption, can you do a 30-day extension? All previous rules and regulations say yes, but we don't know for sure. So we're not going to know all these answers until 3 weeks down the road, at least I think. We get calls every day in the forums I belong to. Guys keep asking, will I qualify as a freelancer? Can I extend my visa exemption from 60 days to 90 days? We just don't know. We can only speculate at this time.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we just got to kind of go with it.
It's just out there. And then one more was a little change to the retirement visa. Can we talk a little bit about the retirement visa? Why do these changes, do the changes apply if I'm applying in country, out of country? How is it all going to work?
What change are you talking about?
The retirement visa.
But which was the change to it?
Oh, you didn't see that one?
No, I didn't.
What the hell? I'm the expert now. Look at this.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they basically changed the 3 million baht insurance requirement down to.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, about the non-OA.
Yeah. But talk about maybe why you would want to get an O visa versus an OA visa.
Okay. Well, the non-OA visa you can only get from the Thai embassy. Okay. So that comes with a lot of hoops you have to jump through. The one thing being the insurance requirement that you just talked about. So yeah, of course they've reduced that. The second thing is because you get it there, you get 1 year multiple entry. And what people don't understand is if you want to do that extension a year later in country, you still have to give the same documents that you gave at the Thai embassy. Plus you have to still fulfill the 800K. And if you want to do the income method, it's a pain in the ass because you have to show 1 year's worth of bank statements with that 65K per month coming in. If you do that, a lot of guys don't like to deal with the embassy, don't like to deal with all that nonsense. The other option is you can apply for a non-O visa based on retirement at the Thai embassy, and you'll just get 90 days, and you don't have to deal with the insurance in some cases. But we go one step further than that. Don't even worry about that. If you're from a Western country, come on the visa exemption, do the switch in Thailand. If you do it that way, you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Getting the non-O visa based on retirement in Thailand is really easy.
Now, the non-O, you don't require insurance when you're in country.
Yeah, the immigration doesn't ask you to prove insurance.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's one of the big benefits. You can then go out and shop for your own insurance. You don't have to worry about it. You can self-insure. A lot of the guys want to self-insure because maybe they're older and maybe their insurance is too expensive. Maybe they can't even get it because they have pre-existing conditions, right? So, that's why doing the visa in country is really easy for most of the guys.
Yep.
And using an agent, you can maybe overcome some difficulties if you don't qualify in some way.
Exactly.
Number two, some guys will say, well, how do I get a Thai bank account? If I do that, I come here as a tourist, how do I get a Thai bank account? So we can help you with that. Doesn't cost a lot of money. And you can get the bank account, you can put the money inside, 2 months later you can do your extension. Or you can even get the visa. So you come on a tourist visa, open up the account, stick the money inside, then you can apply for the the non-immigrant, O visa based on retirement. And once you get that, 2.5 months later, do your extension. And you did everything here in Thailand.
Yep. And that initial one will get you about 15 months in country, right? Yep.
Exactly. So you get the initial 3 months when you apply for the initial visa, and then a 12-month extension. And some of the criteria varies by city a little bit on the process, but it's generally the same. You generally submit your application for the non-immigrant O visa. 2 or 3 weeks later, you get the answer, and then you get your 90-day visa, and then after that, you prepare for the extension. One of the things that are really important is that, let's say you want to use the income method. You're not going to be able to do that yourself for the first year because you're not going to have a record of 12 months bank statement showing that 65K deposited each month from an outside source of the country, right? So you better use an agent and get them to facilitate the visa for the first year. You're going to get the initial 3 months plus 12 is 15 months. Then first, when you do that, your first extension of stay, we'll teach you how to prepare for that. So make sure that every month you deposit 65K into that account. At the couple of months before that extension is due, send in your bank statement. We'll make sure that it's all in line. Then we'll teach you how to go to the bank, get the bank letter, and you can actually do that first extension all on your own with our help, and it doesn't cost you any money.
Too easy.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's too easy, but
it's going to be a lot easier than you trying to figure it out on your own and navigate these Thai laws.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other significant visas we should talk about? I got a lot of guys who are under 50. Do they have any special options? What would you advise somebody who's under 50 years of age who's trying to long time reside in Thailand?
So there's this new visa, obviously, and when we learn more about it, that's going to be one option. Second option is the elite visa. So if you've got the money, that's a pretty simple thing. You just pay it and then you got it. Okay. The next thing is the LTR visa. And there's a bunch of different categories for that. The one category that is like the digital nomad category is if you're employed by a company in your home country and that company's financials qualify and your financials qualify, you can get a 10-year visa plus 50,000 baht. There's an ED visa. You can go and you can study Thai language, study Muay Thai. That's a little bit tricky. Why? Because some of the guys don't want to study. So if you get on one of those dodgy ones, you got to be careful because there's a danger or a risk that something might happen to that institution because of that. Number two, if you need to travel, that's not the visa to be on. Because when you're on an ED visa, immigration is going to ask you, why are you traveling, right? Because you're supposed to be studying. So that's going to be almost an automatic refusal of entry. There are also ways that you can stay in country. We call this long-term tourists, okay? So these are guys that want to come and go as a tourist for like 6-8 months, even a year. There's some strategies that you can utilize to do that. Combination of visa runs to a neighbor country, border runs by using an agent, and multiple entry tourist visas from your home country, Thai embassy. You can put some of those all together, and depending on how we strategize out for you, you could stay even up to a year as a tourist. But you have to be really careful. It's not guaranteed. Sometimes if you fly in, you have to be very, very careful. You have to make sure that you can show a return or onward flight. You have to be able to show proof of accommodation, proof of travel funds, up to 20,000 baht in cash or equivalent in foreign currency. And we don't know if the officer is going to ask you for those things. It's up to their discretion. I've got guys that have entered at the airport 6, 7, 8, 9 times per year. The officer doesn't blink an eye. I got guys that have entered 3 times and they've been hauled off to the private room and questioned, and then you feel like you're getting interrogated, right? You never, ever, ever know which category of those you're gonna fall in. Mm-hmm. So we just gotta prepare. Yep. And all you can do is prepare those 3 things I just mentioned, so that way, if you're asked for one or more of those items, you can show it. What you don't want to do now, some of the guys will buy those fake reservations, and they swore by them for the longest time. Immigration used to accept them, but they're getting wise to that now. So what they'll do is they'll take that copy of your reservation and they'll excuse themselves and they'll go to the back and go to the airline's website and they'll look the reservation up. If they can't find it, if you're lucky, they'll allow you to book one right there. A couple of the guys had to pay 30,000 baht to book one. Other guys just got refused entry outright because the officer knew it was fake.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Yep.
You got to be careful. And there's a little bit of debate around that. Some embassy websites have posted that you're only allowed to come in 2 times per calendar year now by air, where it used to be unlimited by air,
Yep.
and twice by land. We did some checking. Immigration in Thailand is saying that that's not correct. It's still unlimited. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Thai embassies are saying that it's 2 times per calendar year. So it's kind of similar to the 60-day thing we just went through, right? Nothing's clear.
Yep.
We got people saying different things. So what we can do to help the guys is just prepare them. So if they find themselves in a situation where they're not able to enter Thailand or they're being, questioned, we can prepare them for it. So they can do everything that they can to reduce the risk of being refused entry. But if that immigration officer doesn't want to let you in, he's not going to let you in. And it's his discretion. So even though you have a visa, here's one thing the guys often don't quite understand. You could have any visa, a retirement visa, an elite visa, a Thai wife visa, it doesn't matter. If the officer doesn't want to let you in, he doesn't have to let you in. Obviously, there's a reason for it. It could be anything. It could be your previous travel history. It could be that you have a previous crime that you were accused of in Thailand. It could be you owe money to somebody in civil court and there was a judgment against you that you didn't satisfy. There could be just anything. You don't know, right? So they don't have to let you in even if you've got a valid visa. The guys just think, I've got a visa, doesn't mean that you're guaranteed entry. Doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
It's up to the officer. He's got his rules and regulations and he's going to follow or she's going to follow. And if you don't qualify to enter for whatever reason, according to the Alien Act, then they're not going to let you in.
Well, there you go, guys. I think we got to the end of it there. Pete, has been awesome. Great information. Can you tell us a little bit more about this membership program? Like, what are the tiers of that, or how does that work exactly?
There really isn't a tier, James. It's just basically $7.95 Thai baht per month. The biggest thing I get asked is there...
It's about $20, guys, or less.
Do I have to keep this membership the whole time? No, there's no contract. You can go into your account, log into your profile on our website. You can change your payment information, change your email, change your phone number, cancel, resume, all on your own. You don't need to call us up and say, please cancel my subscription. You're not going to listen to a guy on the other end of the phone trying to convince you not to cancel. Just go in and do it by yourself. Simple as that. You can even add your wife or your girlfriend to your membership at no extra cost. All you got to do is log into your profile, put her name there. She can call in and speak to a Thai lawyer anytime she wants. So that's another benefit that the guys have. Expats generally keep it. Tourists generally cancel and resubscribe when they go back and forth. Simple as that.
Awesome. So you guys got a website, Facebook, all that stuff?
Website, Facebook page. Our YouTube channel is not as big as yours, James. Sorry about that. And on that website, there's links to our Line account, WhatsApp account. So if anybody has questions, we also have a live chat feature on the website. James, I guess you're going to put a link inside your profile. You can click, inside your channel, right? I suggest pinning it in the comments because YouTube doesn't like our referral link. And just pin it in the comments. Click on that link, go to our website, see all the information. If you want to call us, you want to contact us by any of those methods I just mentioned, just click the button. It's going to be me that you're talking to most of the time.
All right, that was awesome. I appreciate you, Pete. Thanks a lot for coming out, telling us about the, legal problems in Thailand. It's going to happen to you, and it's better to have coverage before it happens rather than after. So, yeah. But if it does happen after, you can still get a hold of Pete, no worries. But, why not just go ahead and get a membership now and save yourself the trouble? It's always there when you need it. It's kind of the way I feel about it. We'll catch you guys on the next one, man. James Casino, Chocolate Man in Thailand. I hope this information has been useful to you, and you have a great day.